Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports podcast. I'll notice this podcast, Lane Frick. We're now at episode 6 there, but so we're 60 episodes through. We got an action-packed episode planned for you. NFL's rolling right now. College football playoffs are set. NBA's rolling. MLB's in the lockout, and so much more. So stay tuned. Schoolyard Sports with Lane Frick, episode 60. Let's hop in. Let's start for episode number 60, how we always do, with our headlines in the NBA. We got a lot of news in the NBA, but the Suns' winning streak stopped to the Warriors. The Warriors and the Suns. They're the two best teams in the NBA. There's no debating that, in my opinion. Warriors and the Suns are the two best teams in the NBA. And when Klay Thompson gets back for the Warriors are going to be better? Are they going to be worse? Leave your answer in the comment section. Obviously going to be better. It's Klay Thompson, everybody. Klay Thompson, one of the best shooters of all time. Everybody. Klay Thompson, one of the best shooters of all time. This Warriors team's rolling. They're playing really, really well. Bulls, they're also playing really well. You know a team who's not playing very, very well? My New York Knicks, everybody. They're 11-12 right now. I know they took Kemba Walker out of their rotation, but they got blasted by the Suns. They got blasted by the Bulls, and they're just not playing great basketball right now. They're down by like 30 at halftime to the Bulls the other night, and then they came back. They lost by like 5, but just not great stuff going on with the New York Knicks right now. Julius Randle gets a tech and a clutch moment against the Nets. What are you doing there? It's just a lot of stuff going on with the New York Knicks right now. A lot of stuff going on in the NBA. Let's move into the NFL where we're an action-packed weekend. Taylor Heinicke, everybody. This guy is for real. I got a segment coming up, but Washington football team, they're on a roll right now. I'm going to say it right here. They're beating the Cowboys this week. They're beating the Dallas Cowboys this week in Washington, in FedEx Field. I have no doubt in my mind that Taylor Heinicke leads his team to the win. And, now we got to start that conversation. Is Taylor Heinicke starting quarterback in the NFL? Is he a franchise quarterback? There's news today. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's going to be out for the season. He's having surgery on his injury they had in week 1. Taylor Heinicke is that guy right now. 4 straight wins for the Washington football team. Just beat the Raiders on a roll right now. Brian Johnson, 56-yard kick, whatever it was, to beat there. It's just a great game by the Washington football team. I don't want to blame it. I don't want to say, ever since the Chase Young injury, Washington's been playing great, but that is what happened. They're not a better team without Chase Young, but they're just happening to win those games without Chase Young. A lot of stuff going on right now with that Washington football team playing really, really well. Do they find themselves in the playoffs? Leave your answer in the comment section. There definitely is a chance they can find themselves in the playoffs. They're not going to win the NFC East because the Cowboys probably going to run away with that one soon. I do think they beat the Cowboys this week, though. Leave your answer in the comment section. Is Taylor Heinicke starting quarterback for the next 5 years in the NFL? Leave your answer in the comment section. The Cowboys are, but I said they were going to lose to Washington this week, but they had a nice game against the Saints on Thursday Night Football. I said they would lose that game, but Taysom Hill threw 4 interceptions. I'm going to give it to that Cowboys defense. Great game plan by Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn looking like one of the best defense coordinators in college and the NFL right now, but doing really, really well, this Cowboys team. I know they lost to Raiders on Thanksgiving, which, I didn't expect to happen, but they did lose to the Saints. Well-coached Sean Payton football team. I thought Taysom Hill would do better than that. I know he did well in fantasy football, got me 25 points, but 4 interceptions, turnovers, everything like that. A lot of stuff going on at Saints locker room. We got what lane would I take coming up here about the New Orleans Saints in a couple segments, but New Orleans Saints not doing great right now. Dallas Cowboys got a good win on Thursday Night Football. Arizona Cardinals there, but okay. There may have been on upset watch this week against the Chicago Bears. It's bad weather, everything like that. They play in a dome. Now they have to go into Chicago. Horrible weather, terrible playing conditions. Kyler Murray, still kind of injured. But no. They played amazing. DeAndre Hopkins had a touchdown. They played amazing. Kyler Murray had a rushing touchdown. Everything looked great in that game. The defense was great. Buda Baker had a nice interception. Almost pick 6 off a drop by Cole Kmet. They played in the elements great. Okay, they really did. This Cardinals team's really coming together. Maybe the best team in the NFL. We got top 5 teams in the NFL coming up here in top 5 in a couple minutes. But Cardinals playing a really, really, really well football right now. Doing really well. Who's also playing good football? Los Angeles Chargers there. But I know they lost to the Broncos last week, but the week before that, they beat the Steelers. Now they go up against the Bengals, everybody. In Cincinnati. I'm saying, Bengals all the way. I like Joe Burrow. I like this team. No. Chargers, the more complete team. I know they're young. I know they're a bit inexperienced. But they're playing well. Okay, Austin Eckler didn't have the greatest of games, but Justin Herbert had a great game. Keenan Allen had a great game. 2 touchdowns, even through a 2-point conversion. Justin Herbert, just a great game all around for the Los Angeles Chargers. Derwin James played well. Everybody played well on that Chargers team. Doing really, really well right now. Los Angeles Chargers get a good win over the Bengals, proving me wrong against Cincinnati Bengals. What a win that was for Los Angeles Chargers. Now, another team who got a great win this week? The Detroit Lions, everybody, getting their first win of the season. Okay, I'm not going to blame that game on the Minnesota Vikings because everybody plays the Lions close. They just didn't play great defense in that game. Minnesota Vikings. They really just didn't. Okay, Jared Goff had a game-winning touchdown. Who would have thought Jared Goff with that buzzer-beating touchdown. We don't see many buzzer-beating touchdowns in the NFL. And if we do, it's like a Hail Mary or something. No, this was a buzzer-beating touchdown from like the 15-yard line. Great play from Jared Goff. Great play drawn up by Dan Campbell. Great play by this Lions team. Getting their first win of the season. This is the best one-win team of all time. Maybe in sports history. Any sport, you could say. I mean, I know it's a bit outrageous, but a lot of stuff going on with that Lions team right now. God, good win. I know they're probably not going to keep Jared Goff after this year, but doing really, really well right now. Detroit Lions, almost beat the Bears on Thursday and Thanksgiving, and then they almost beat the Steelers the week before that, tied them. Now they get a good win against the Vikings. I know they're not going to make the playoffs. I know they're not going to make a splash. I know they might not even win their game for the rest of the year. But Lions, good win against the Minnesota Vikings. Getting their first win of the season. Let's move to another team. Gardner Minshew and the Philadelphia Eagles. I know they played the Jets. But they played Giants the week before, and Jalen Hurts didn't look good. John Rager didn't look good. They really didn't, those guys. But Gardner Minshew goes into New York against the Jets and plays great. 20-25. 2 touchdowns. I'm not saying, hey, let's start Gardner Minshew over Jalen Hurts. I would oppose that with every single thought I have. I would say, no, that would be the worst decision ever to start Gardner Minshew over Jalen Hurts. I just don't think either are very good NFL quarterbacks right now. I just don't. I mean, Gardner Minshew, you could see him as a Ryan Fitzpatrick, Taylor Heinicke type of player in the future. A journeyman. He's going to be clutch when you need him. He's not going to win you a playoff game. He's not going to get you 10 wins in the season. But if you need him to step up against a mediocre team like the Jets, he's going to get the win. He's going to play well. That's Gardner Minshew for everybody. But let's move to Seattle Seahawks, everybody. What a game that was against 49ers, everybody. Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson played well. George Kittle on the 49ers side had 40 fantasy points, played amazing. Jimmy Garoppolo played pretty well. Elijah Mitchell, everybody on that 49ers team played well, but the Seahawks just looked better that day. Probably the best game the Seahawks played this year against the San Francisco 49ers. Really, really good game played by Seattle Seahawks. Now, I want to move over the New England Patriots there, but you can say they only threw the ball 3 times on Monday Night Football. How is that possible to win a game throwing the ball 3 times? That might be one of the best game plans we've seen in the NFL all this year. Okay, Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick clearly had a game plan. People say, oh, they just saw that Mac Jones wasn't playing all well early in the game. They decided, hey, we're not going to throw the ball that much. No. The game plan going into that game was, hey, we're in the elements. We can win this game with defense. We can win this game running the ball. Okay, we don't need to force many passes. We need to pass. We will. Only need to pass 3 times, apparently. I mean, I would maybe pass a little bit more, maybe like 10 times, but outcoached. That's what the Bills were in that game. They were outcoached. Sean McDermott got outcoached. Brian DeBull got outcoached. Leslie Frazier, their defense coordinator, got outcoached in that game. They played good. They ran the ball great. New England Patriots got that big one by Damian Harris for 68 yards. A lot of stuff going on right now in that New England Patriots locker room. Playing great football. Just playing great football. I mean, how many wins in a row do they have now? 5, 6, whatever it might be. Chiefs also playing great football right now. Chiefs are 8-4, everybody. They are 8-4. That's amazing. Okay. We were writing them off when they were 5-4. We're writing them off. We're writing them off all this time. Patrick Mahomes lost to the Tennessee Titans. Patrick Mahomes lost to the Buffalo Bills. Now they look like one of the best teams in the NFL. Are they in my top 5 list coming up? You'll see here in a couple minutes. But Chiefs playing really, really good football right now. That's about it for the headlines this week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Now, Schoolyard Sports NFL game day, everybody. Let's hop into it. We got a great Thursday night football matchup here. We got 2 teams fighting for a playoff spot. I know they're in different conferences, but it's going to be a good game. Steelers, Vikings, everybody. I'm excited for this one. I was going back and forth a lot in this one, but I'm going with the Vikings. I know they lost the Lions last week. You can say, how can you pick the Vikings if they lost the Lions? But they have good wins over the Chargers. They have good wins over the Packers. They almost beat the Ravens. It's a good team, the Vikings. I know they had a bad loss. I know the Steelers just won a game against the Ravens, which was a great game. And they mentioned that in the headlines, but that was a great game by the Steelers. Great game by Mike Tomlin. Maybe I'll coach John Harbaugh on that one. But playing really, really well right now. I mean, Steelers, but I'm going with the Vikings this one over the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. Now, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington football team. I already said my pick. I'm not going to talk much into this one, but Washington. Defense wins the game. Taylor Heinicke makes enough plays, wins the game. I'm sorry, Dak Prescott. I'm sorry, Dalen Pollard, but I think you guys lose this one. I'm sorry, Mike McCarthy. Sorry, Dan Quinn. I'm taking Washington this one over the Dallas Cowboys. Ravens, Browns, everybody. We saw these teams play 2 weeks ago. We saw Lamar Jackson throw 4 interceptions. The Browns still didn't even win that game. I'm taking the Ravens this one over the Browns. Maybe even big, 35-17. Give me the Ravens, even after a bye week. I don't know about this Browns team. I really don't know if Baker sticks it out for another year with this Browns team. I don't think he might not be the starting quarterback next season. You never know. But I am taking the Ravens this one over the Browns. Raiders, Chiefs, everybody. It's going to be a fun, good divisional matchup. Raiders just had a tough loss to the Washington football team. But had a good win the week before against the Cowboys. It's going to be a back-and-forth matchup a little bit, but we saw his teams play a couple weeks ago in Las Vegas. Chiefs stomped on them. That might happen here, but give me the Chiefs in this one. 35-31 over Las Vegas Raiders. 49ers, Bengals, everybody. This can be a fun one. 49ers, both teams off bad losses pretty much. 49ers lose to a bad Seahawks team. Bengals lose to, just got a bad loss against Chargers. Got blown out a little bit at home there. But I am taking the 49ers this one over the Bengals. I think Kyle Shanahan outcoaches Zach Taylor in this one. I know that offense, George Kittle had the best game of his season. I think he has another great game this week against that Bengals secondary. I really think the 49ers win this one over the Bengals. Give me the 49ers over the Bengals. Bills, Buccaneers, everybody. All right, this is going to be a fun one. The Bills are 7-5, though, everybody. You need to realize that. The Bills are 7-5. I think they had 13 wins all last season. The max they can get right now is 12. That's wild to think that. Bills, not off to, just a little bit of skid right now. I think they lose another one. I think they go 7-6. Buccaneers advance 10-3. Give me the Buccaneers in this one over the Buffalo Bills. Now, Rams, Cardinals, everybody. Monday Night Football. This is going to be a fun matchup. They played a couple weeks ago, gave the Rams their first loss of the season, and now the Rams have 3 losses on the season. But it's going to be a fun game. I think it goes back and forth, but give me Kyler Murray over Matthew Stafford. I think Matthew Stafford plays well in this one. He had a great game last week. Odell Beckham Jr. gets another touchdown last week. But I think the Cardinals defense maybe makes a key stop late in the game. Kyler Murray makes another great play, whatever it might be. But I'm taking the Cardinals this one over the Los Angeles Rams. That's about for Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. Let's get that perfect record this weekend. Now, top 5, everybody. I already hinted it. Top 5 teams in the NFL. And I want to give 2 honorable mentions right here. First one, the Indianapolis Colts. If we were doing a top 10 list, I would put them in here. I would put them above the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not going off record, everybody. I know they're 7-6. I wish I could put them in my top 5. Too many better teams. I think this team could easily win a playoff game. If it's Bills, Colts in a playoff game, I'm taking the Colts in that one. If it's Colts, Cowboys in the Super Bowl, I'm taking the Colts in that one. That's a very rare chance happening there. But Colts, really, really good team. I know Jonathan Taylor had a bit of a bad game against Buccaneers last week. They kind of figured him out a little bit, but this is still one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. Carson Wentz playing great football right now. Carson Wentz gets a lot of hate, everybody. He gets a lot of shade. But don't look at the stats. Watch the games. Carson Wentz is a good player. I've been watching that Hard Knock series. Colts, Carson Wentz just makes more likable person. Carson Wentz, good player, really, really good player. One of the most underrated players in the NFL. I know we got hate last year, but this is new year, everybody. Carson Wentz doing really, really well this season. The stats might not show it. Everything else might not show it. But this Colts team, Frank Reich, one of the best state coaches in the NFL. They definitely are an honorable mention. Let's say the 7th best team in the NFL, Indianapolis Colts. Now, the other honorable mention I was going to throw out there, the Baltimore Ravens, everybody. This Baltimore Ravens team, they're interesting. I know they had a bad loss last week against the Steelers, and if they didn't lose that game, I'd probably put them in here right now. But they're a team where their quarterback can throw 4 interceptions and they can still win a game. Okay, and that's how good they are. I think this defense is going to come together a little bit in these next couple of weeks. The running game's coming together a little bit and finally adjusting after losing all their running backs, seemed like in the preseason. Lamar Jackson picking things up in that running game. But this Ravens team's going to bounce back. One of the best teams in the NFL, Baltimore Ravens. One of the best tight ends in the NFL in Mark Andrews. Let's move into our top 5, though. The top 5 teams in the NFL. 5, the Arizona Cardinals. You can say, whoa, I have the Arizona Cardinals number 1 on my list. How do you have them at number 5? Well, listen to the teams I have above. I'm not going to say them right now, but I'll say it. The 4 is the Patriots. If you have a Super Bowl, Cardinals-Patriots, I'm taking the Patriots in that one. It showed last year when they played. I'm not going off last year, but Bill Belichick knows how to out-coach an offensive mind like Cliff Kingsbury. He knows how to out-game plan. Maybe a player like Kyler Murray knows that game plan for them. He knows that game plan for all these guys on the Arizona Cardinals team. I am taking Patriots over the Cardinals. Patriots, 4th best team in the NFL. Mac Jones. Really, people hate on Mac Jones. People hate on him before the draft. He doesn't have the great stats. He threw 3 passes the other night. He's not great in my fantasy football league. Why should I believe Patriots are the 4th best team in the NFL? Mac Jones playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this year. He's playing better than Ben Roethlisberger. He's playing better than Baker Mayfield. He's playing better than a lot of veterans. He's playing better than Ryan Tannehill. He's playing better than a lot of NFL veterans, a lot of players on NFL playoff teams. He's playing better than Kirk Cousins even. Okay, Mac Jones, really, really good player. One of the most underrated players in the NFL, like Carson Wentz. And people give him shade, but he executes that Bill Belichick game plan perfectly, that playbook, everything like that. That's the Patriots. That's the way the Patriots run. They can throw 3 passes in the game, and they can still win that game. That's how they roll. Patriots, 4th best team in the NFL. Number 3, Green Bay Packers, everybody. Okay, Packers. There's a lot of stuff going on with Aaron Rodgers right now. Is the toe broken? Is it this? Is it that? Is he going to be able to play? Everything like that. Yep, they beat the Rams last week. They're a really good team, Packers. Third best team in the NFL, Green Bay Packers. Number 2, you can call me crazy. You can say this, you can say that. How do you have the Cardinals below this team? How do you have the Cowboys not on this list? How do you have the Patriots below this team even? It's the Kansas City Chiefs, everybody. I know we all hate Patrick Mahomes. I know we all hate the Kansas City Chiefs. But the reality is, this team only has 4 losses on the year. They have the same exact record as the New England Patriots. They have a better record than the Buffalo Bills. They're probably better than your favorite team, Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs, one of the best teams in the NFL. No debate about it. Second best team in the NFL, Kansas City Chiefs. The defense finally come together. The running game is coming together with Clyde Edwards-Helaire being healthy now. It was everything like that. The running game wasn't healthy. And now people figured out Patrick Mahomes, everything like that. They're adjusting. People figured out the Chiefs' way, just throw the ball downfield to Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. But they're adjusting. They're getting quick plays. They're adjusting. They're getting 15-yard gains instead of just 30-yard gains every single play. They're not getting 15, 20-yard plays a game. They're getting like 2. They're getting 3, something like that. I know Chiefs are adjusting, everybody, but when it's all said and done, we could still have a Chiefs-Buccaneers Super Bowl. I mean, if I choose right now, Super Bowl, I'm taking the Chiefs and the Buccaneers in that Super Bowl game. But number 1 on this list right now, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, everybody. 3 losses on the year, one of the best records in the NFL. No debate about it. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, best team in the NFL. That's about for top 5 this week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Now, I didn't know, everybody. This week's Did You Know? Did you know? In the college football playoff, in the 7 years, the college football playoff coming up on 8 this year, the number 3 seed has never, ever won the national championship. We're talking about Clemson or Ohio State from last year didn't win the national championship. A couple other teams. The number 3 seed in the college football playoff has never, ever won the national championship. I expect that to happen again this year. I don't think Georgia wins the national championship. I think you lose to my Michigan Wolverines in the Orange Bowl, which I'd be happy to see. Georgia, number 3 seed right now, and you could say, hey, maybe the best 3 seed of all time because they were number 1 seed last week, but never know. Georgia, 3rd seed right now. Didn't know. The number 3 seed in the college football playoff, in the 7 years we've had the college football playoff, number 3 seed has never, ever won a national championship. Didn't know that? Leave that in the comment section. That's about for Didn't Know this week. As I was writing out this episode, I was thinking, who should be my spotlight this week? I was thinking maybe it should be the Cowboys, how they might have a bad end of the season. Colts, because I'm loving how they're playing right now. But I'm going to roll with Taylor Heinicke as my spotlight this week. I know I talked about him a little bit in the headlines, but I love Taylor Heinicke. I love how he's playing. It's crazy to think. A year ago today, he was taking finals. He was in class at Old Dominion. Did he think 1 year later, he would be the starting quarterback of an NFL team in a position to make the NFL playoffs, looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? Let me throw some facts at you right now. Taylor Heinicke has more yards than Ben Roethlisberger, Ryan Tannehill, we all love, Jared Goff, former number 1 overall pick, Jimmy Garoppolo, former second-round pick, looking like a great player for 49ers right now, Trevor Lawrence, former number 1 overall pick, Zach Wilson, I know he's missed a lot of games, Jalen Hurts, who I know some people love, but he's missed last game, and also, one more, Kyler Murray. I know Kyler Murray's missed a bunch of games, but still, that's a bit of an interesting thing there. Taylor Heinicke has more yards than all of those players. That's 3 number 1 draft picks. Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, and Jared Goff, everybody. Interesting stuff they're out there. Taylor Heinicke, I love how he's coming into his own this year. He's playing like a great quarterback. I hope this Washington team makes playoffs. I don't even care if they beat my New York Jets. I just want this team to get into the playoffs. I think they beat the Cowboys in the playoffs. I think they can beat the Rams in the playoffs. I think they can have a shot at the Super Bowl. And maybe not that big, but, conference championship, whatever it might be. This team is a really, really good team. Washington football team, one of the most underrated teams in the NFL, up there with the Colts, up there with the Ravens, up there with these other teams. Washington football team, Taylor Heinicke. If we had an MVP, if we were still doing that, Taylor Heinicke would be MVP this week. No debate about it. That's about for my Taylor Heinicke spotlight this week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. It's that time of year, everybody. The college football season has ended. At least the main postseason. Now we're in bowl season. Now we're in the playoffs. So you can't get the Heisman. You can't get all these awards. Let's start Schoolyard Sports 2021-2022 college football season award show. Let's all pitch you. Who was the best quarterback in college football this year? Was it C.J. Stroud? It wasn't Kenny Pickett. It wasn't Billy Zappi. It was Bryce Young. Bryce Young was the best quarterback in college football this year. He had James Williams. I know I've been hating on Bryce Young a lot this year, but really came into his own past couple of weeks. I mean, the only reason Alabama won that Auburn game was because Bryce Young. I know he played horrible that whole entire game. But then they get into the fourth quarter. They get into that last drive. You have 1 minute. You have to go 97 yards in 1 minute. And Bryce Young gets a touchdown with 27 seconds left on the clock. That's amazing. Bryce Young, the best quarterback in college football this year, gets a win over Georgia. The only quarterback this year to get a win over Georgia was Bryce Young. Bryce Young, best quarterback in college football, Bryce Young. Now, who is the best coach in college football? I'm going to give two right here. It was Jim Harbaugh, and it was Dave Aranda. Both coaches had 2 wins last year. Dave Aranda won the Big 12 championship in his second year after having 2 wins last year, having a new quarterback, having to roll with his backup quarterback in the Big 12 championship game. A defensive guru, Dave Aranda, is definitely one of the best coaches in college football this year. Tied Jim Harbaugh for my Coach of the Year award, Schoolyard Sports Coach of the Year award, Jim Harbaugh and Dave Aranda. Jim Harbaugh, I mean, I've said so much about him this year. My Michigan Wolverine head coach. I am so happy with how Jim Harbaugh's coached. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I didn't think we'd win the Big Ten this year. I didn't think we'd make the playoff. I hoped, but I didn't believe. And I'm so happy that Michigan's in the playoff right now. I am so happy Michigan won the Big Ten championship. And I'm so happy that Jim Harbaugh should definitely be Coach of the Year. Everybody can say, Mel Tucker. Did Mel Tucker win a conference championship game? No. Dave Aranda did that. Did Mel Tucker have a better record than Jim Harbaugh did last year? Yeah, he did. Jim Harbaugh had a worse record than Mel Tucker did last year, had a bigger improvement than Mel Tucker did. I'm taking Jim Harbaugh and Dave Aranda as my Coach of the Years this year. Who was the best wide receiver in college football this year? You could say you could give it to the whole Ohio State receiving corps. You can give it to Jordan Addison. You can give it to Jack Smith and Jigba. You can give it to Chris Olave. You can give it to Garrett Wilson. But I'm going to give it to Jameson Williams. 13 touchdowns in the year. Ohio State transfer, actually. Jameson Williams, carried Alabama all year. He and Bryce Young carried Alabama all year. They would have lost that Tennessee game if not for Jameson Williams. They would have lost that Arkansas game if not for Jameson Williams. And they definitely would have got blown out in that Texas A&M game if not for Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams was the best wide receiver in college football this year. No debate about it. Schoolyard Sports 2021-2022 Best Wide Receiver Award is going to Jameson Williams, who had the best offense this year. There's a lot. You can say, it's Ohio State. Might be Georgia, might be Alabama, might be somebody else. I'm going to give it to Ole Miss. Ole Miss had one of the best rushing attack. I think they actually did have the best rushing attack of all Power 5 teams over Michigan, over Florida, over all these teams. I know Army, Air Force, Navy are up there, but that's because they only run the ball game. But Ole Miss bounced the ball so well this year. Okay, they ran the ball amazing with Snoop Conner and Jerry Neely. They threw the ball great with Matt Corral. Got snubbed as my Heisman finalist. Matt Corral should have been Heisman finalist, everybody. It's just because recency bias. Matt Corral should have been Heisman finalist. No debate about it. The best offense in college football this year. I'm giving to Lane Kiffin's offense. Give me Ole Miss. This is the best offense in college football this year. Who had the best defense this year? It was Georgia, everybody. There is no debating that. If you think anything else, get off this episode. Swipe off this episode right now. Stop listening to it. It was Georgia. Best defense in college football this year was Georgia. I don't care about that Alabama game. Going into that Alabama game, they'd given up like 50 points all season. I know they gave up like 41 in that game, but averaging 9.6 points a game given up. Georgia, the best defense in college football this year. One of the best defenses we've seen in the past 10 years. I'm worried about Michigan Wolverines going up against that, but I do think we can get the job done. Best defense in college football this year was Georgia. Who was the best freshman in college football this year? There's a lot of candidates. You could say Caleb Williams. You could say somebody else, but I'm going to give it to Caleb Williams there. But he came in that Texas game, in the Red River rivalry, and played amazing. Had 300 yards. Then he goes against the next week against TCU, has a great game. Struggles against Kansas the next week after that. Then has a good game against Iowa State. Led this team to 10 wins. I know Spencer Rattler got them like 4 of those, but that was against like Western Carolina, West Virginia. A lot of bad teams. Spencer Rattler wasn't that great for this team this year. Caleb Williams, just all the turmoil going on this year with this head coach, everything like that. Caleb Williams was the best freshman in college football this year. No debate about it. Who was the best player in college football this year? This is our Schoolyard Sports Heisman, pretty much, but it's the Schoolyard Sports best player in college football award. I'd love to give this to Aiden Hutchinson, my Michigan Wolverines. I would love to, but it's Bryce Young, everybody. It's Bryce Young, the only quarterback to beat Georgia. The only quarterback, he just bounced back so well. He had a great, he was the Heisman favorite after week 1, and then he got slipped for a while. I was thinking, Bryce Young, this guy's not a Heisman candidate. He's not a top 5 player in college football. Now I'm going to say, Bryce Young, you were the best player in college football this year. No debate about it. Bryce Young was the best player in college football. Now, the last word on here. Who was the most dominant player in college football? I think Aiden Hutchinson should be the runner-up for Heisman. Should be very, very close. I hope Aiden Hutchinson wins it, but I just think Bryce Young was the best player in college football this year. But the most dominant, the big X factor, Coach Plus here. That was Ian Hutchinson. No bad about. That's about for our Schoolyard Sports 2021-2022 College Football Award Show. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think Ohio State got snubbed on most of these awards? Probably did, but maybe that's my Michigan bias. Leave your answer in the comment section. That's about the Lane Frank College Football Award Show this year. Now, around the base, everybody. We did around the base last week. We talked about all MLB free agents, everything like that. But around the bases this week, we're in a lockout right now. I know a lot of MLB fans, they're upset because we're in a lockout and free agents can't sign. Chris Bryant can't sign. Clayton Kershaw can't sign. Carlos Rodon can't sign. A bunch of these free agents can't sign right now because of this lockout. You can say, it's going to be over next week or it's going to be over in June. But this is our Schoolyard Sports. New CBA. New rules for the MLB. Let's fix baseball. Around the bases, Schoolyard Sports, Lane Frank. My opinion. How to fix baseball. Let's all into it. No salary cap. I love how there's no salary cap in the MLB. Keep that rule. And don't make a minimum, anything like that. Don't mess with the money stuff, baseball. Don't mess with the salary cap, any of that. Don't mess with any of that. That's my favorite part about baseball. It wouldn't work in the NBA. It wouldn't work in the NFL. But it works in baseball, having no salary cap. It does, in my opinion. That is one step to fix baseball. Just keep that rule. Don't change that at all. Start the season in May. Okay. Nobody's going to watch baseball when March Madness is going on. Nobody's going to watch baseball when there's other sports going on. Start it in May. The only sport going on in May is baseball. So start the season in May. How many games do I have to shorten? 16, whatever it might be. Not that many. Start the season in May. Now, another one. Make every single team play each other. You have 162 games a year. You have 30 teams. And not every team plays each other. The NBA is 82 games a year. And each team plays each other twice. Like, that's amazing, how the NBA does that. But, MLB, 162 games a year, have every team play each other. It's just more fun that way. Have every single team play each other. It doesn't have to be a long series. It can be a 2-game series, whatever it might be. Once a year, whatever it might have to be. It doesn't have to be 2 series a year. It can have to be 1 series a year, whatever it might be. I think every MLB team should play each other. Now, here's my fixes to the MLB playoffs. Make the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Make the wild card. Make the NLDS, ALDS. 1 game each. Like how the NFL does it. 1 game each. I know it's a bit outrageous there, but 1 game each. It speeds things up. It doesn't make baseball go into December. Maybe you can still do 162 games if you do May to October or whatever it might be, and then have a shortened playoffs. I think that might be the better solution. Have a shortened playoffs. Have the first 2 rounds be 1 game each. Then the World Series, 7 games. Championship Series, 7 games. I think that those are the steps. Fixing baseball. It makes it more interesting. I'm not going to get into the logistics of actual baseball game, how to fix all that. I don't want a universal DH. I'm going to say that. I don't want a universal DH. It ruins everything. I don't like a universal DH. I really don't. I think maybe the American League should even get rid of the DH because it's just ridiculous, everybody. That's about for my fixes to baseball. That's about for Around the Base this week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. What a season of college football we had. We had top 25 every single week, and it was so much fun. I was high in Cincinnati all year. So here's my final college football showcase, top 25 of the year, until the end of the season after the national championship, everything like that, but nobody really cares about that top 25. This is the Schoolyard Sports Lane Frank, absolute last top 25. Let's hop into it. 25-21 here. 25, UTSA. 24, Texas A&M. 23, Arkansas. 23, North Carolina State. 21, Wake Forest. Wake Forest is the head-to-head over North Carolina State and putting them over them. Arkansas is the head-to-head over Texas A&M. UTSA finished the year 12-1, one of the best group of 5 teams this year. To UTSA, definitely in our rankings right now. I'm moving Wake Forest down after, just a rough loss in the SEC championship game. I said they would win it. They did. But now, let's move into 20-16, everybody. 20, Louisiana. 19, Clemson. 18, Kentucky. 17, San Diego State, 16, Iowa. You can say, whoa, how is San Diego State still number 17 over all these teams? I know they have 2 losses and everything like that, but they had to go in over Utah, we all love now. Utah's in the Rose Bowl, everybody. We all love Utah, but San Diego State has a win over them. Clemson finished the year really, really strong, got the pieces to come together. They're going to have a good year next year. There's rumors, hey, DJ Wengele is going to leave for Oklahoma because Brett Venables left for Oklahoma. I'm going to talk about that in a couple minutes, but a lot of stuff going on in that Clemson program right now. Let's go 15-11. 15, Oregon. 14, BYU. 13, Utah. 12, Oklahoma. And number 11, Michigan State. But Michigan State rounded out the year pretty well. 10-2, great season. Yeah, all of that. Michigan State, number 11. Oklahoma didn't make a Big 12 championship, lost a coach, everything like that. Going up against that in the Alabama Bowl against Oregon, where it's 2 interim coaches. Is anybody going to watch that game unless you're an Oklahoma or Oregon fan? Even if you are, you're really going to watch that game? Probably not. Give me Oklahoma at number 12. Utah, number 13. This is like the equivalent of the 2016 USC team. The 2016 USC team, nobody wanted to face them at the end of the year. They had 3 losses. They made the Rose Bowl, and they won the Rose Bowl. This is like that. This is how Utah is. They're a great team. They're going to be great going into next year with Cameron Rising. Cameron Rising has freshman eligibility, everybody. That's wild to me. This team has a lot of potential. If Cal Whittingham stays, hears rumors that he might retire. Doubt it, though, because this is one of Cal Whittingham's best team. Shame that Charlie Brewer was the starting quarterback for the first 2 games of the season, where they probably could have had a shot at the college football playoff. Cameron Rising was starting those games. But Utah, number 13. Let's go 10-6 right here. Or 7. Number 10, Pitt. Number 9, Oklahoma State. Number 8, Ohio State. Number 7, Ole Miss, everybody. Ole Miss is number 7. They're the best 2-loss team in the country. One of the best 2-loss teams in the country. I'm putting Baylor at number 6. But Ole Miss, number 7. Ohio State, number 8. I know Ohio State's ranked number 6 in the college football playoff rankings, but this is a Schoolyard Sports Lane Frank college football rankings, and I'm putting Ohio State at number 8. Oklahoma State, rough loss in the Big 12 championship. If Oklahoma State won that game, would there be a huge debate right now? Oklahoma State or Cincinnati? But there isn't. Oklahoma State, number 9, and then Pitt, number 10. Let's do our top 6 teams in college football. Is my playoff the same as the college football playoffs committee's playoff? Let's see. Number 6, Baylor. I already said Baylor had a great win in the Big 12 championship game. I really like Blake Shapen, their back quarterback, maybe even more than Gary Bohannon. But this can be a good team next year, Baylor. Baylor, really good team. 6th best team in the country, Baylor. Number 5, Notre Dame. Everything with Notre Dame. Brian Kelly. Oh, what a fraud Brian Kelly is, like I said last week. But they got Marcus Freeman as their head coach. They didn't deserve to be in the playoff over Cincinnati because literally, Cincinnati has that head-to-head over them. There's no argument for Notre Dame being over Cincinnati. Not at all. Even if they didn't play, Cincinnati would probably be number 4 still over Notre Dame. Number 5, Notre Dame. Number 4, I'm putting Georgia number 4, everybody. Georgia, good team, but 12-1, everybody. Didn't win their conference championship game. I'm putting Georgia number 4. Number 3, Cincinnati. I really want to put Georgia at number 3, but I don't want to see an Alabama-Georgia rematch this year. Maybe it might be in the championship, something like that. But Cincinnati, 3rd best team in college football right now. Cincinnati. Number 2, you can criticize me. You can call it crazy. It's Alabama, everybody. Alabama has a bad loss in the year. They have a loss to an 8-4 team on the road, but just really got outplayed in that game, outcoached, everything like that. Alabama, 2nd best team in college football, leading the way for my Michigan Wolverines to be the number 1 team in college football. Won the Big Ten championship game, has 1 loss in the year by 4 points to Michigan State, where a game where questionable calls were all over the field. They probably should have won that game, and Big Ten even issued an apology to Michigan, saying that, hey, Michigan, they should have got this call, and if we got that call, we would have won the game. Big Ten literally issued statement to Michigan saying that. And Jim Harbaugh said they issued a bunch of other things, but that's besides the point. We're in the college football playoff. We're the number 1 team in the country, in my opinion. Michigan, number 1 team in the country. That's about Schoolyard Sports Late Front College Football Showcase this week. We're going to have back next week to pick all the bowl games, all the playoff games. Stay tuned for that, but that's about for College Football Showcase this week. Now, at the buzzer, everybody. We all love at the buzzer. This week's at the buzzer is Matt Rhule, head coach of the Carolina Panthers. He fired his offense coordinator this week. He has no quarterback. Has been horrible in his tenure as the Carolina Panthers head coach. Leave the Carolina Panthers. There was rumors all year how he hated the NFL and he's going to go to college football. Leave the NFL. You were great in college football. When Matt Rhule left for the Panthers, I'm like, what are the Panthers doing? What's Matt Rhule doing? What are all these teams doing? But I think Matt Rhule, you got to get out of Carolina. You got to ship your bags. You got to go to Eugene, Oregon to be the head coach at Oregon. I know Mario Cristobal just left Miami. Be the head coach at Oregon. You can build up a program there. You got all the recruiting resources there. You're going to beat out Brian Harsin for that job, whatever it might be. I think Matt Rhule should be the head coach at Oregon. That's my hot take for the day. That's about for At the Buzzer this week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Now, best for last question today. This week's question today: should the college football playoff expand? My plan for the college football playoff should be the 6 best conference championships, get all of them get in. All of them get in. Then 6 at-large bids, whatever it might be. Then you get a 2-loss team in the playoff. Then you get probably Utah in the playoff, which, I mean, the college ball playoff needs to be more than 4. That's question day. Should the college ball playoff expand? Leave your answer in the comment section. That's about Schoolyard Sports Land Fright, episode 60. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports Instagram at Schoolyard Sports. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Twitter at Schoolyard Sport. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the world. We'll be back next week, episode 61. Stay tuned.